Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to install a SoftStartRV on our rooftop Coleman-Mach air conditioner. The SoftStart provides a lot of benefits to the air conditioner as far as using it with a generator, and should be a pretty simple install. So before we head to the roof, I do want to show you what all came in the box with the SoftStart and talk a little bit about where to find the installation instructions. Alright everybody, so we ordered our SoftStart directly from SoftStart. We got the SoftStartRV, and in the box comes a cool little pair of wire strippers. I have my own wire stripper, so probably won't use that, but also comes with the accessory bag, which is all of your electrical connectors, piece of black wire with connectors on it, and a few zip ties. It comes with a quick little start guide. This basically just tells you where to get the instructions for installation. And again, that will depend on your brand of air conditioner. But by going to that website, softstartrv.com/support, which I'm going to take you on a computer and I'll show you how to get those installation instructions. And then in the box is the actual SoftStart. So let's head over to the computer. We'll go over to the softsstart.com website and I will show you where to get the actual installation instructions from. All right, everybody, so here we are at the SoftStartRV website. And once you come to the home page, you want to go up towards the top and find the install/support menu option. So you want to click on that, and then you're going to look for the wiring diagrams and instructions page or menu item. So you want to click on that, and at this page it's asking you to select your manufacturer of your air conditioner. In our case, we have a Coleman-Mach, which is the same as AirXL, so we would select the Coleman menu option here. Once you come to the Coleman page, it's going to ask you to find out or know what your model number is. And that model number is going to start with a 1976 number. That model number can be found on the yellow sticker that is on the back of the metal door that gives you access to the capacitors on the air conditioner. So once you're up on the roof, I'll show you in the video, there's a little metal plate that you want to remove the 2 screws for, and that will give you access to the yellow sticker that's on the back of that access plate for the capacitors. And once you find your 1976 number on that label, you want to scroll down to find the number that matches. In our case, it was 1976-760, and there is the entire wiring schematic and step-by-step instructions for how to install it. It also gives you a link for printable schematic and the step-by-step instructions. So you have everything right here at your disposal that you need to successfully install the SoftStart on your air conditioner. Let's get up on the roof and let's get this project started. Before we get started, I do want to throw out a little bit of a disclaimer. Please know that this video is specific to the installation of the SoftStartRV on our Coleman-Mach air conditioner. And depending on the brand of AC that you have, your installation steps could very well be different. So please be sure to follow the exact steps that are given to you for your make and model of air conditioner. We cover the steps here for the Coleman-Mach, but again, the steps covered for your air conditioner may very well be different, so please refer to those manufacturer instructions. All right, back to the video. All right, before climbing up on the roof and working on the AC, remember your AC unit is powered off of 120, so it's always a good idea to make sure that you disconnect electrical box first. So we are off of shore power. And then it's also a good idea to make sure that you disconnect battery switches as well. If you have solar panels on your rig, you want to make sure to disconnect the solar panels. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you disconnect your battery power as well. Basically, you want to make sure that there is no power at all going to the rig. All right, guys, so we are on the roof of the RV. One other tool I forgot to mention that you'll probably need is some kind of driver. I mean, you can use a screwdriver as well, but on the Coleman-Mach, you're going to have 2 screws on top of the shroud. 1, 2, and there are also 2 tiny screws on the back of the unit, way underneath. There's one there, and one on the other side. Unfortunately, our solar panel kind of gets in the way there, but you remove those 4 screws and then the shroud will come right off. Once you remove those 4 screws, get up under the shroud and pull. We have the compressor, obviously fan blade, fan motor, and then this panel here, you'd remove 2 screws, 1 screw there, 1 screw there. Carefully, because it is sheet metal, it'll cut you. You want to remove that panel, and on the underside of that panel is the yellow sticker that the instructions were talking about as far as finding out which number you have. And then inside where that panel are your capacitors. On our air conditioner, we have a bunch of this putty. This is basically just like duck putty. Go ahead and remove that putty because that's what you're going to have to get out of the way. This hole right here is where you're going to run the wires from the soft start through that grommet and then into the area where the where the capacitor is. All right, so I think we are ready to start with installation. So, step 1 on the soft start. It says route black, yellow, and blue soft start wires through the electrical box. So black, yellow, and blue. Black, yellow, and blue. We want to route those through, and that is why it was necessary to remove that duct seal that was covering that hole. So you want to put those through. It's a little bit tight because there's not a lot of room. Well, we want to get those situated. All right, guys, so here we are. So first step we needed to do was to take the black, yellow, and blue and run it through that grommet over here that we had taken all that duct seal off. So we're going to take that duct seal off, run the black, yellow, and blue wire into where the capacitors are. One word of caution about the capacitors. The capacitors actually hold, even with power shut off to the rig, your offshore power, you've disconnected battery, those capacitors are still going to hold electricity enough to give you a pretty nasty shock. So be very careful when working around that capacitor. All right. Careful with your tools, careful with reaching in there. You want to make sure that you don't give yourself a nasty shock from that capacitor. All right, so once we run the black, yellow, and blue into the compartment where the capacitors are located, the next thing that we want to do is follow that white compressor wire. So take that white wire, make sure that is the one going to the compressor. See over here, wiggle it back and forth. This is your compressor, white wire coming through the compressor into where the capacitor is. We want to disconnect that capacitor, that white wire from the capacitor. So needle nose pliers I talked about earlier. Get out your trusty needle nose, and again, be very careful that you don't shock yourself with that capacitor. All right, so we have the white wire off of the capacitor. And we want to connect it to the blue wire on the soft start. So the white wire off of the capacitor, white wire off the capacitor to the blue wire from the soft start. Twist the wire up, make sure we have a good connection. And because we have a female connection from the white wire from the capacitor, we need to put a male connection on that blue wire. So go into your trusty accessory bag here and grab out a male connector. I'm going to put that connector on. Okay, so we have the male connection on the blue wire, and we want to go ahead and crimp that. Using your wire crimpers, crimp that connection. Make sure you have a nice strong connection. Make sure that's not going anywhere. All right, and we're going to take that male connection, and according to the directions, we're going to connect the blue wire to the white wire. And then we want to seal that with electrical tape. All right, so we got the electrical tape here, and we're going to seal that connection with electrical tape. Give it a good amount. Make sure you seal it up pretty well. You don't want any moisture getting in there at all on that bare connection. All right. That step is done. We have a good seal. Blue wire to the white wire. Next, we're going to take the black soft start wire and connect that. So our black soft start wire, and we're going to connect that to that terminal on the compressor that the white wire was on. Now that white wire, remember, had a female connector on it, so we need to put a female connector on the black wire. Let me grab that female connector out. Oop, not that one. You see that one? That one actually is a piggyback connector, and we don't want that one. We want to make sure that we get a female connector. So we have our female connector, and we're going to connect that to the black wire. Once again, bend over that wire if it feels a little too loose, and then crimp your connection down nice and tight. You know, there's all kinds of different crimpers and connectors and stuff out there. Just, use what you have available to you. All right, so we have the female connector on the black wire. And that black soft start wire, which I have in my hand, is going to connect to that terminal on the compressor that the white wire was connected to. All right, so that's on there. Next, we're going to take the yellow soft start wire. Kind of get up close up here. Hopefully you can see this. So the next thing that we want to connect to, there's a red wire that's going to the Herm side of the capacitor. That yellow wire is going to connect to the terminal next to that red wire. All right, so that wire, the yellow wire from the soft start needs to have a female connector put on it. Once again, twist your wire, make sure it's nice and tight. Get out a female connector, and you want to take that female connector, place it on your yellow wire. Make sure you get the wire in there nice and tight. Make sure you get a good connection and give it a good crimp. Okay, so the yellow wire is getting connected to the terminal next to the red wire. Hopefully you can see that, but that yellow wire just gets connected to next to the terminal next to the red wire. All right, the next thing we want to do is we want to remove the cap. So let me see if I can get a good shot of this here. All right, this is the cap on the compressor. And the next step is to remove the compressor cap. And we're going to disconnect the black wire that is underneath there. So I'm just going to use the needle nose pliers that I brought to the roof with me. Take off that nut. And one word of caution on that cap is be kind of gentle with these. The heat, sun, that can all kind of make the cap pretty frail. So you want to make sure that you just kind of be careful with that cap and don't over tighten it when you put it back. All right, so we disconnected or removed the compressor cap. We want to disconnect the black wire and connect that to the red soft start wire. So here's our black wire. We want to pull that off of the compressor. And we want to attach that to the red wire on the soft start. Once again, looking at the black wire, we have a female connector. So we want to put a male connector on that red soft start wire. Let me redo that here. Make that a little prettier. Twist your wires up, make them nice and tight. Bend them over. And then once again, we want to get a male connector to attach to that. You know what? I'm going to kind of start with a fresh connection on that. This is where bringing some extra tools come in handy. If you don't like the braid, not happy with it, you got plenty of extra wire, go ahead and give yourself a new braid. Twist those wires up. And then take your male connector. Make sure you get that connector seated on the wire properly. And then give it a good crimp. Okay, so we got a good crimp on that wire. So we have the black wire from the compressor. And we're going to connect the black wire from the compressor onto the soft start. That'd be the red wire to the soft start. And then once again, we want to make sure that we tape up that connection. Again, don't skimp on your electrical tape. Make sure you get a good seal. All right, so the black wire from the compressor is sealed with the red wire from the soft start. Folks, we only have one wire left, and that is just the brown wire. And what we're going to do with the brown wire is, this is where the directions kind of get a little confusing. Remember that piggyback connector? Well, basically what it's telling me is we want to break off the male tangent off of your piggyback connector, like so. All right, so we're going to take the brown wire, bend it over, make sure you get a good connection on that connector, make sure that wire's seated nicely. All right, and then give it a good crimp. All right, so here's a little note about the directions. On the directions it says break the male tangent. Break the male tangent off of the piggyback connector. Then bend the female connector at a 90-degree angle. Connect the brown soft start wire onto the terminal that the black compressor wire was on. Then you want to route that brown wire over to and out with the red and white compressor wire. So we have our red and white compressor wires here. This is the terminal that we're connecting to. We want to route that brown wire with the white and the red. I'm not sure why they want you to use that when they give you one of these connectors here. This is a 90-degree. It's in good shape. I went ahead and put that 90-degree on, and I used that. Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape that up, just to give ourselves a little protection on that connector. All right, so we got the brown wire on that connection. Taped up and sealed. Put that cap back on there. Hopefully the cap goes on. Not hopefully, it will go back on. Just like that. Make sure you get those wires tucked in. Put that nut back on. The compressor cap, again, do not over tighten. You want to make sure that it's snug, that it's not loose, but it's definitely not over tightened. All right, so let's go back over and see where we're at. So once again, we got the white wire from the compressor. We have disconnected that from the capacitor, and we have connected that to the blue soft start wire. Next, we're going to take the black wire from the soft start, and we're going to put that on the terminal on the capacitor that that white wire was on. We got that. Next, we're going to take the yellow wire from the soft start, and we're going to connect it to the capacitor on the Herm side next to the red wire that's there, that's existing. We got that in place. Next, we're going to remove the compressor cap, which we did. We're going to disconnect the black wire from that, and we are going to connect it to the red wire from the soft start wire, the red soft start wire, and tape that connection, which we have done. Next, we're going to take the connector on the brown wire from the soft start and replace it on the terminal of the compressor that that black wire was on. Replace the cap. Now we're just going to kind of make this look a little prettier. I mean, as you can see, we've got kind of a squirrel's nest of wires, which is fine. They give you a bunch of wire ties. But next, what we want to do is kind of find a place to where we're going to mount this thing. And I'm thinking, let's see if I can give you an angle over here. Oops. All right, so the next thing we want to do is just a little bit of housekeeping. So we want to go ahead and figure out where we're going to mount the soft start. As you can see, the soft start has nice adhesive tape on it already, double-sided tape. So let's go ahead and try to figure out where we want to put this thing. All right, folks, so we have checked all of our connections. We went back through the directions and made sure everything was correct. I will tell you something. I actually had to redo my black, my blue, and my yellow connectors because I had noticed when I ran these wires through that grommet, I was on this side of that copper line, and I did not like that. I wanted to make sure that they were all on the same side where all the other wires come into it. Hey, you know what? That's what happens. Sometimes those things happen. Just kind of, go slow, pay attention to what you're doing. Thankfully, Soft Start gave me enough connectors that I was able to cut off my old connectors. You notice the green tape. I did run out of black electrical tape, so I had to switch to my backup color. Again, no big deal. Just make sure that you feel good about your work. If you need to readjust something, do it. Like I said, I was on this outside part, or the outside side of the copper line, and I did not like the way that was going to sit. So I went ahead, took time to change those connectors out, redo those wires, get them on the inside of the copper line where the other wires are, and I think that'll be a lot better. So going back to mounting the soft start, now that the wires are all where they're supposed to be, I think the soft start is going to live right there on the side of the unit. And you can see we have a bunch of extra wire, but again, Soft Start gave you plastic zip ties in that package, so don't be afraid to use those zip ties and clean up your work. Make sure everything's tucked in nicely and good to go. So let me work on getting those wires secure, and I will be back to show you what that looks like afterwards. All right, guys, so we got everything kind of bundled up. Wires are together, cleaned up a little bit. There's a product called Duct Seal. It comes in a bag, just a plastic bag. You can get it at any home improvement store, called Duct Seal. And basically what it is just this gray putty. That putty is going to go up on that hole where the wires are, and we should be good to go. Unfortunately, I think we're in the 50s in western New York here, so we are getting ready for a trip to warmer weather starting very soon, so that's why I wanted to get the soft start installed. However, probably won't be able to test full operation of it until we get to a place where we can actually run the air conditioning. But going to wrap up this installation. We'll get the shroud back on, get downstairs, and we'll do a little bit of a wrap up. Hey everybody, it is a couple days later after the soft start install. We are back on the roof and it's warm enough in the camper that I think we can actually test it out. So gonna go turn the AC on. We're looking for a green light on the soft start, and hopefully, cross our fingers, all works. So just as a recap, this is the soft start install. Got all our wires cleaned up. You can see that we re-duct sealed that grommet that was there. The capacitor compartment, the capacitors are in here. Everything should be good to go with that. So let's turn this thing on and see what happens. All right, buddy. So AC's on, thermostat set to 55 degrees. Hopefully you can hear me all right. But on the soft start, we have a green run light, which is what we're looking for. Compressor started up with no problems, and looks like we are in business. So that is the soft start RV install. Again, pretty easy process, nothing too dramatic. Got to feel comfortable with some wiring and putting on connectors and such, but really easy to follow directions. And there we go. All right, everybody, so that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you like this kind of content, please give me a like down below, consider subscribing, and drop us a comment. Have you installed the soft start? How'd it go for you? Do you have any issues? Drop us a comment down below, let us know how it went. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.